Almost there. I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen special meeting for Tuesday, January 23rd to order. First order of business is public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? Hearing none, let's move on to item 1, which is really the only piece of business we have today, and that is discuss and take possible action to award the bid for the 595 New England Road renovation project. Cliff, the floor is yours.
Thank you, first of all, for hosting this special meeting this morning. I appreciate it. Obviously, this is a project that we've been working on. And just to refresh everyone's kind of memory and background, we moved into the new high school in 2015. This project kicked off with initial schematic designs and stuff in 2017. We started to get our original estimates in 2018 that came in at about $2.3 million. We did a lot of value engineering on this project because our original target was $1 million, so we were quite over that. So we did a lot of VEing, and in 2019 we got it down to about 1.3 million. Of course, we know shortly after 2019 we had COVID come into play in 2020, and this got put on the back shelf. So we went back out in 2023, early 2023, when we started to pick up the project again and move it forward. And those estimates came in about 1.6 million. And then what you're looking at today is the actual bidded estimate or quotes that we got bids at 1.65. So that kind of gives you a rundown on the pricing and where we've been and what we've been targeting. I did put together a letter from the Standing Building Committee. I don't know if I know I sent it to Matt, Karen, and Tracy to scurry out to you last minute this morning. But the project itself has been going through the Standing Building Committee just like any other bonded project. So they've been involved with a lot of this value engineering and reviewing these numbers. So we had a meeting on Tuesday. We went back through. There was no additional questions or concerns about the bids that we received and the project itself. So the Standing Building Committee did recommend moving forward. And just to give you the summary on how this worked, because it's a little bit different than our standard bid process, because the bidding is done underneath the GM. So this project has OR&L as a GM manager for the project itself. So they did all the bidding for us. They publicly put it out to bid in the paper. They got the proposals, came back to us with a summary sheet, recommended. We're actually taking all the lowest bidders that were proposed. So that worked out well. So that total cost of the project or bid comes in at $1,647,134. Just to give you the summary again, I wrote this in the letter that I sent this morning, and I apologize, it was last minute. Last week we had some heating issues that redirected my attention in many of the schools. So as far as funding, just to remind everybody, we had put aside $250,000 in the capital funding. I checked with Mary Jane. I think it was the beginning of the year last year. Those funds were still in place. We bonded in 2022 $972,952, and then knowing and then in 2023 we added to that for it's supposed to be fixtures, furnitures, and fixtures of $303,000, and then unfortunately those total three sums didn't get to where we needed to be. So we went to the Bond Council, Board of Finance, and Board of Selectmen, as you're aware, requested an additional $627,000 for the project itself. That gave us a total where we sit right now of $1.928 million for the project. So we're looking for approval today of the award to OR&L for the $1.647 million for the 595 project. Did I answer any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Cliff. I do have a couple. This process, this is the first time we've used this with a construction manager doing the bidding on our behalf.
Yes, it is. At least for me, I think they did something similar with the high school.
Okay.
But I wasn't directly involved with the bidding process there. So yeah, it was new to me. So there was a little bit of a learning curve. Yeah.
The question needs to be asked, did the OR&L adhere to the town's purchasing and bidding policies and procedures to the degree that we would have had we done it ourselves?
Yes, and we went back and forth and to confirm that with OR&L. I know the emails I got from Jeff D'Onofrio last night, just to make sure we were clarifying that. It did go out into the New Haven Register and was publicly bid. Those bids did come back and were opened and tabulated by OR&L.
Okay.
So the only difference is I think the town would have normally put out the bid in the paper. And then maybe have the bids go back to the town, and then OR&L would have gathered them up and put together the packet that way. So yeah, the process itself is the same. Yep.
So the process, and MJ, maybe you can help me here. The process is we will be dispersing funds to OR&L, and they will then disperse funds to the subcontractors? MJ?
Yes, she's on mute. Yep.
Yes, that's normally how it works.
Okay, that's a standard process. And will we have access to see who the final awardees are on this? You know, the companies that actually perform the work?
Correct. Yep. They gave us a actual spreadsheet of all the bidders.
Okay.
We can tabulate if you want a list of just the ones we're awarding to. We can pull that information and give you a list.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful going forward.
Yep.
Well, maybe not last question for me, but the pricing at the bottom of your pricing summary sheet or ORL summary sheet says the pricing does not include our CM proposal cost at $135,030. Where is that money reflected, and how did we wind up selecting ORL? Was that through a bid process as well?
Correct, it was. Yeah. So we went to bid for CM, and I can't remember the date. It's well over probably a year and a half ago that we did that a full bid process, and they were awarded the CM work. So
Okay.
those funds are part of the 1.9 million.
Got it. And maybe this is the last one. Does OR&L do any of the work that is described in this document? Do they do any of that work themselves?
I don't believe they do. I believe the majority of the work is done by the contracted list that they put forward. So,
All right, great.
Cliff, I have one question. I'm assuming that O&R, we have a performance bond or something with O&R in case they do not pay their subcontractors?
correct. They know they have to give us a full performance and payment bond of 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And Cliff, you said that Jeff D'Onofrio has given his good housekeeping seal of approval on this piece.
Correct. We went back and forth last night, and he made sure that we met the 3 criteria in order to move forward. So I told him what we had last night. Yep.
Great.
And hi, Cliff.
Sandy, yep.
Yes, hi. Why did you go the route of having OR&L handle the bidding? Was it, I hope, a cost saving measure when we have people in town already getting paid to handle bidding?
We figured it would be partially potentially cost savings, but more so a labor intensive. There's so many divisions that need to be bid versus an overall project. It was simpler to have the CM do it than to push through our purchasing department.
Yeah, agreed. That's a huge job. That would encompass, you know, someone here almost a full part-time job just to handle all that. This was the smart way to go.
Okay.
Any
And
other? Go ahead,
I
Sandy.
thought there had been, I thought there was some ongoing work already to prepare that site for the uses that we're gonna use it for. So right now, nothing has been done. It's gonna
So-
start now with this money?
So what we've done in-house, right? So with my 5 maintenance guys, plumber, electrician, etc., general maintenance, we've done probably about 95 to 98% of the demolition. So all the old gas piping's been removed, all the old electrical's been removed, the walls have been demoed and taken out. So all that, you know, old piping and et cetera, has all been removed. We were trying to give them a blank canvas, almost like a new building to move into. So that's where we're at. So we're almost starting. There's very little construction, but there demolition rather. There's a little bit left. They will take that, run forward, and move right into construction. So.
Okay.
Great.
And when
Cliff,
will it be
yes.
done, do you think? Or you don't have a timeline yet?
If we award now, we'd be shooting for the end of summer to try to get in there, would be our goal.
Okay.
Great. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's
Hello.
Matt, this is Charles. I guess mine isn't really a question, but you know, I do want to voice my concern of this project as, you know, through a lot of circumstances beyond our control. I can appreciate, and even after the quote unquote value engineering, we've literally doubled this project. And you know, my concern is, you know, we really haven't started to do anything. We've done some demo and that type of thing, and we've got some bids and everything. And I would hate to see, you know, change orders and things like that coming down the pike now that we're starting to actually, you know, put the project to work. So, you know, my concern is, you know, like I said, we've gotten caught with a lot of circumstances with COVID and just the rates of everything have gone up. We all know that in the past few years. So we're paying the price for it on this project, but it has doubled. And considering, you know, the voters voted on one concept, you know, when we went forward with the construction of the high school and making this transition, you know, for the board of, well, not the board of ed at that point, it's board, you know what I mean. I'm concerned that, you know, we're not going to get into any change orders and things like that, because obviously this project is now substantially different than what the voters were presented with when we decided to go ahead with the project in its totality. So you know what I'm saying, Cliff.
And we hope, you know, we've done all the asbestos testing, and obviously we've done most of the demolition. And that's often where you get into the change orders, where we get something that surprises us. Obviously, when we open a wall up or we can't see what's above the ceiling, and we don't have that here. So I'm really hoping we can hold to our numbers and not have any change orders. Yep.
Okay.
Great.
You know, it is what it is, so we can't really change it at this point, unfortunately. It's just that I'm concerned what we presented to the voters is so much different than what it's turned out to be.
And as you said, you know, we've done our best value engineering stuff, you know, out of the project and getting it back in a line. Anytime you take a project and you delay it 6 or 7 years, you're adding 3 or 4% a year every year. Delay a project.
Absolutely, and that's what I appreciate, and hopefully the efficiency, you know, that should take place when they move into this building, you know, should make all the difference in the world. But it's still a big number. I mean, we've literally doubled the project.
So just to follow up on that, I'll pretend I'm Sue Renner right now, because I think this is a question she might ask if she were present. The point of the voters, I mean, did the voters vote on one number and now we're adding to it? Because sometimes she asks questions about allocating money that the taxpayers didn't actually vote on. I'm sure that this is
Yeah.
all, but I'm just going to ask the question.
I wasn't presenting it so much as an exact number for this transition, but when the whole high school project was put before the voters, conceptually, we had this other building that, we presented it as some plan going forward, and obviously the plan has substantially changed. So I don't know if the voters were ever specifically voted on a number, but I think the numbers that we were talking about, like to Cliff's point years ago, have substantially changed.
And
Yeah,
that's just one note is the numbers have changed, unfortunately, and not to our advantage, obviously. But to make a note that we have not changed the project. So the project itself has been presented as the project. We have not added stuff into it to make it more expensive. It's just unfortunately, our climate that's created the additional cost and the duration to get this project off the ground. And just to mention one other item, the project was delayed because we were waiting for the high school to go through its audit process before we could start this project. And Mary Jane can attest to this. It took them, what, 6? I'm not even sure if they're 100%
They're not
complete.
done yet.
They're like,
Still not
No.
done.
yeah. So we were trying to wait until that finished, but at this point, it doesn't affect the project. We're so far out, so.
I want to make a distinction, Charles, in terms of the voters voting on something. I think there's a difference here. There are two different sets or two different votes that we may be talking about. The way I heard you describing it, Charles, you were talking about when we went to the voters for the new high school itself, that we did not contemplate a number like this, because we did not have that conversation in the public domain about converting this building for school purposes. This building was defined as going to the town because of the clawback provision in the state funding for the science wing when it was built. We would have had to pay back that money. So we did not we did not talk to the voters about a number to reclaim this building for the Board of Education until such time as we went to the voters at referendum in 2023 and then again in 2022 when we had approval for 2 bond authorizations, which are listed on the summary sheet that Cliff had provided. 973,000 in the 2023 authorization, and then 303,000 in the 23-24 authorization. So the voters did vote. The voters have voted on 1.3 million of funding, of bond funding for this project. Still, it is increased by 50% over what was approved by the voters. So I think it's important.
I understand what you're saying, Matt. It's just that my point conceptually was, it has changed. Whether the vote was, during the high school referendum or doing budget votes for the bonding, what we were able to present to the taxpayers has changed. And circumstances, I understand them, and they're unfortunate that the economy and everything worked against the town in this particular case. And I think we're all aware and we're all effectively on the same page that, now that we've incurred these additional charges, we have to be particularly careful of spending any more, in my opinion.
Agreed. And quite honestly, there's only a 5% contingency on this on this proposed construction schedule. So.
Okay, we're beating a dead horse at this point.
You got it. Lou? You're muted. You're still muted.
There we go. I'm all set. Thanks. Charles covered it.
Got it. Good. Anything further? All right, is there a motion to approve the award to OR&L for the 595 building renovations in the amount of $1,647,134?
I'll make the
So
motion.
moved.
That
Second,
And the second, any further comments or questions? Cliff, thanks for sitting through a grilling. And I will let me try your minds. You guys are all online. Signify by raising your hand or saying aye.
aye.
And I will also vote aye. That motion carries unanimously. Cliff, thank you very much. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board in public forum? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The second,
second.
you try your minds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.